this stuff. Eat that stuff. Hi. Hey guys, Krusty Old Crow here today to do a tactical perspective on, I don't know, one of the, God knows how many figures I have not done a review on. Fallen a little behind. Something about a move to another house and all that is really throwing a wrench into my playtime. But guys, I said I would get that torch review done, so today, as we set up our shelves and dig out our figures, yes, that's what I do to my boxes, guys. We're going to do number 123 in the line, Torch. Dreadnok Torch. Probably a lot of you already have them right now. This is probably an older review. This is just the crow getting caught up. When I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So we're going to grab old Torch. We're going to take them over to the displays. And put them just in the corner there next to Rob Zombie. And just keep them pesky gators from entering the ring. And we'll do a quick review on our boy Torch. Stay tuned. So yeah, I'll get to that Torch review. We'll have some spinny stuff, and I'll talk about the little attachy stuff and the detaily stuff, and we'll even call up some images of the boxy stuff and the old file card stuff, which is not to be underestimated. It is the golden rule with G.I. Joe Classified, modernized or not. If that file card isn't provided, I don't know the character. I just don't know them. You can write them later, but that file card to me is it's the golden rule, right? So we're gonna go through that file card. We'll do our standard head to toe. We'll give this thing a rating, right? This guy is perhaps one of my more favorite Dreadnoks, but he's not without his faults, and we'll talk about what few I found on there. It's just lending my tactical perspective to something that has very few tactics unless you go back to the darker eras of history. I will point out that I do have a little red dot on my nose. No, I'm not getting laser designated by low light somewhere in the tree lines. I got a cat scratch. Oh, it makes me very self-conscious. I hope I don't look like a clown. In the photos, I should explain, you will see these fire effects. They don't actually come with him. They came with the yellow Power Ranger 30th anniversary figure that I picked up on clearance at Toys R Us, but they now go with Torch. I did want more fire effect from because he got so much fire, right? Torch is fire. So let's go have a look, and we can all agree about that fire and just how hot it is. So I just want to take this time again to thank 3djoes.com and yojo.com for images and for this lovely file card, which allows us to know that Dreadnok, codenamed Torch, his name is Tom Wilkinson. He's from Botany Bay, New South Wales in Australia, as all Dreadnoks seem to be from Australia. The creators were really into the Mad Max series of movies at the time, starring Mel Gibson. Tina Turner was in The Road Warrior. It was that generation, and these were the big villains. So Australia was really an origin point for a lot of Joe villains, including, I believe, Major Blood on top of the Dreadnoks. Subject was remanded to Borstal at age 14. I'm assuming that's a boys' home. It'll tell us later. Reform school, of course. At age 14, escaped and went to sea in the Merchant Marine, where he learned the use of a cutting torch. Later rode with the Melbourne Maulers Motorcycle Club. Torch is an illiterate, unrepentant thug whose penchant for sudden and unexpected violence is matched only by the utter depth of his stupidity. Specialty and modus operandi include works with oxyacetylene Torch as a general cutter, mostly on remodeling stolen cars and occasional safe cracking. Scavenges the swamps for fun and profit. And there we have the file card. Now, of course, as I've mentioned many times before, the Crow is in the middle of a move right now, so I had to break down the boxes and salvage what art I could. So, thanks to Google, I can find you the box. We have the new presentation plastic packaging, which shows exactly what the piece count is. 2 pistols, a torch, some flame effects, a hose, and a backpack. On the right, you can see the back of the box, and where they wanted your eyes to be drawn was not just to the amazing flame effects inside is what looks to be a rehearsal area for Cold Slither, motorcycle parking spot, and torch testing area. He's also got that nice studded black vest, and that's reflected on the back. You can see that when you take the backpack on and off, the nice studded biker vest, and of course the misspelt Nas kind of effect on the yellow of the tanks on his back, which is really just a barbecue reprint pack, right? It's the same one I think that we see with either variant of barbecue from the classified line. But overall, this is exactly as you would want Torch to be. He looks amazing next to the other figures in your Dreadnok collection, and a personal fave of mine just because of the amount of devastation this guy could bring. Not necessarily what he did bring, but what he could bring. One of my favorite things that he brought was sunglasses that don't fall off, that don't have to be wedged in, and don't have to have a concern to be lost. He's got that amazing biker hair done over underneath just a simple red headband, just like the 80s, and then those Scottish-styled mutton chops. This is a really great head sculpt for Torch, well beyond kind of what I expected. As with the Dreadnok line when they started, the glasses were removable, so while Ripper to me was a really good achievement for the line, Buzzer was a good achievement for the line, the yellow-haired Ripper in his aviator glasses were a poor fit and kind of ruined the idea of keeping glasses on the Dreadnoks heads as a feature that you could take on and off. So I really appreciate seeing Torch there. It protects him from that Hornet you just saw, and the hair and doesn't limit too much of the head, but you can't really get him to look up too high, I don't believe, but nothing else really hindering that posing, I don't believe. And I think the vest would just really play into that with the head. Overall, great head sculpt. I've got him here rocking those akimbo pistols because I don't want to forget to mention those akimbo pistols, same as I didn't want to mention that the fire you see down by his legs don't come with them. But those pistols snap into or slide easily into those nice little patent leather holsters he's got on there. Beautiful little flame patches on those jeans, but we'll talk about them later. If you move down, you'll see he's got a black studded choker on his neck, and then the vest. You can see the studs and the chains that they wanted you to see in the back shots. But there you have the zippers and the buckles from the front, and he's wearing accoutrements under that. So that the shoulders and the biceps are free of tattoos, but he's got the studded, what do you call that thing? Armband, I guess. More biker accoutrements, and then working down those beautifully hidden hinged elbows. He's got those red flame tattoos across his wrists, which then get covered by those chain effects, and then some really mean set of biker gloves. So I'm a big fan of these arms in their simplicity, but also in their function. They're smooth, and you can do a lot with this figure. Just having that simple vest on, he can do all the rock poses of bending over and bending backwards and side and twist. He's got that nice belt, which is just a simple, gauge chain again with the Dreadnok skull on the buckle. And as I was mentioning, those jeans, the only thing that really stands out of those jeans besides the belt and the holster is, of course, those back patches of the flames on his back pockets. But I'm just not the guy comfortable telling you to just stare at that. Don't you go ahead and catch that at a glance. Try not to stare too long. It's awkward. Or maybe I'm just the awkward one. Whatever, moving on to those boots. Those are great biker boots, but they're also there to serve the purpose of protecting his legs from his own fire, right? So you've got that added knee protection, that flap. Otherwise, I would have considered those perhaps Crimson Guard boots. Overall, the buck itself is just another fine example, just like Ripper was, of what you can do with the Dreadnoks to make them look cool with a little bit of modern sense to them.
We'll talk about the accessories now. We'll start with the hose. It's black, it's long, it connects to the back of their gun to the side of the tank. Done, we've covered the hose. The 2 pistols that he got, I showed those earlier. They're back in their holsters. They're for when his fuel runs out and he's got to extract himself out of his situation. But yeah, no, aside from that, you know, he just looks cool like any other Dreadnok would. Go on akimbo with the twin pistols for sure for some photography. But the real feature here is, of course, that flamethrower and the flame effects in the backpack, right? So the flamethrower jutting out that flame at the mouth of a burning-eyed skull. As you work back, it's that simple gray. I found it warped very easily, and it's never really unwarped. I could heat it and straighten it, but it's just the overall torsion that's happening between how you pose the arms to cradle it between the left and the right that will cause it to twist and bend a little bit because it's not a very firm plastic. However, I am appreciative that at least the front end of the flamethrower is firm enough that the flame effects aren't slipping out and falling all over the place because it is flimsy. Nor are the flame effects posts overly flimsy. They stay in very sturdy, as you can see. And with this flame jutting out of the mouth, this is the spurt of direct fire, right? With a spurt of direct fire, that's in action kind of shot. Unlike some other shots that we have, we'll show with the other flame effects. Like the one here, for example, turn around, Torch. This one, if the character will turn around, it's just the stationary. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not squeezing the trigger. It's just a little burp of flame coming out the tip of it. And it's for the inaction when he's on standby mode, we'll call it. What I didn't like about this weapon was the eye flames on that skull could not be removed. I gave them a little tug just to see. But for me, that makes weapon storage a little bit of an issue. I have a want to put or sling that flamethrower on the side or across his shoulders when he's not using it. If I want to have scenes where he has his pistols or is on riding his bike or something. And with the eye jut flames, it takes away from that for a moment. So only real criticism overall, a very Dreadnok design and a victory as far as did they achieve it? Yeah, they did. And so here's your third flame effect that you get, that hard whoosh blast, that initial gust. Maybe not the steady stream, but that good hard crank on the trigger that unleashes that big ball to intimidate everybody, or catches the leaves of the trees and burns the village huts down of the straw huts of an island somewhere. It's a nice selection of flame effects, and like I said, if you play or collect with other toy lines, eventually you'll stumble across more flames and more things to add to it. But as far as the overall function of the weapon and is that iterated well, absolutely, I think they did a very good job with that. And that's about as much tactical perspective as I can put on a flamethrower, as they are outlawed currently in Warfare Conflict for being used against enemy forces. They're inhumane. It's a slow death. It's a death not deserved by anyone. But for other purposes, you can get them. And if you want to build one, well, you're a Dreadnok, right? Now, I should mention what I haven't been able to show so far, in hindsight, now that I've gone through the video, is what the necklace is that's underneath the choker. It's an animal skull. I thought it was going to be a small human skull like the one he has on his left and right shoulders. Those chains are ended in human skulls, but no, this one's an animal skull, like some sort of small horse skull. Alright, well, I suppose I should review this guy then and give him some sort of a grading. So as far as a tactical grading, as far as a flamethrower trooper goes, the only criticisms I would say is if he was thinking intelligently, which he clearly isn't. It says so on his file card. He would probably put a piece of armor plating across that the back of his tank, because Dreadnoks retreat, and getting shot in the back with a flamethrower sucks. In every war movie, you didn't want to be one of two guys. You didn't want to be the radio man, you didn't want to be the flamethrower, and you better throw in an honorary mention to anybody that was new to the theater, had something to live for, and was going on point. In any of those war movies, that guy's gone. But the flamethrower especially had that vulnerability of being shot in the tank and exploding all over the place, all right? So on the tactical sense, we'll give that a good 4, because everything else works with these flame effects, and having those twin pistols to defend himself was a smart play. You'll notice he doesn't come with a knife or anything like that, because honestly, by the time he drops gear, he's going to want to do rapid fire, not fight. That gear's heavy. Which lends us to mention that plague rate again, with those flames by his feet withstanding us being outside of this kit, and something I just threw in for photos and pictures, and that hornet not being included. The flame effects that you get tell 3 different stories in 3 different poses, right? The full-on attack, the sudden reaction attack, and the standby waiting, right? Those 3 attachments are what those are really reflected of. So photographers and diorama guys have a lot to work with, and the play is there. Having the 2 dual pistols tells another story completely, especially if you drop that backpack, or especially if you have access to 1/12 scale motorcycles that you're putting your Dreadnoks on. How he stands on a shelf with other Dreadnoks is something that I'll explore in another video as I finish my unpacking and finish putting all the other characters together. But in the meantime, I can say that the play grade here is a solid 5, because he's a very well posable figure. The points of articulation all function well. His balance is good, and honestly, half of it is the look cool factor in every pose he does. There's just something about the blue, the black, the flesh color set that makes it work, even on a play level. So a solid 5 on play. On that je ne sais quoi factor, which is really French Canadian for I don't know what the hell it is, but there's something there. I'm going to give it another 5. I'm a really big fan of this Dreadnok above most others. To me, this is another Ripper situation where you have a really good Dreadnok. And while I'm not a big fan of how flimsy the flamethrower weapon is, I am a big fan of how cool it is to see it with its attachments, stand him next to the Dreadnoks, and know that the wall of fire he's putting up is that big deterrent that's keeping the other figures at bay. You lighting guys are going to have a blast with your storytelling with a guy like Torch there, because he can put light wherever you need it. So and you know what, guys? I'm comfortable enough to say those butt patches there on his little cheeky cheeks there, they were a nice touch. Having some flaming butt cheeks. Good job, Torch. I approve. All right, you rainbow. Love it. Anyways, guys, that je ne sais quoi factor, like I said, it's a 5. So 4, 5, 5. That's a lot better than I thought I was giving Torch in this wave, of which we finally got. You had characters like Jinx and Dox competing against him, and honestly, he competed well. So yeah, that'll about do it for a review on Torch, guys. I was incredibly satisfied with this figure, like I said, up against competition like Doc, Jinx, Tiger Force 2-pack, Shockwave, Ram, like the 120 to 129, or sorry, 130, Once a Man Cobra Commander, the 120 to 130 line really, I thought I was going to be more impressed with more figures that were different than a Dreadnok, but actually the Dreadnok was a very strong outing. Torch was a really solid figure. That flimsy little Torch aside, overall, what you have is a very well misspelt Nox Rule gas tank, reflecting a group of characters, mostly Australian, who seem to have questionable intelligence, but more than enough firepower to be a problem, and I can appreciate that. I used to work with a bunch of guys like that. So, guys, if you haven't picked them up yet, if you were on the fence, and I don't think there's many of you that don't pick up every single one that come out, make sure you get your Torch, guys. Highly recommended. I approved of that figure hard. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this review. I'm going to try and get around to doing my Shockwave and Night Force Ram, a hookup I got through my good buddy Hush here in Ottawa, who had one to spare. I'll try to get that review out, and more to come as I finally get the last bits of my dioramas and stuff on the shelves. Maybe I'll do a room tour video very, very soon. Alright, but don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we're trying to get to that 500 mark, so every subscriber, you guys learned over the years how much the last year since I started, how much I appreciate you. And new subscribers, you will know as much too. You found a home in Crow Country. If you're into talking about G.I. Joe, not just the classified lines, and maybe not just about Joe, other lore and things in this nature. That's really what we bring to the table. And of course, the backyard battlefield, which I do with my cohorts down South 77 from 3-Star Draw, and Aaron the Toy Enhancer. We do that together. All right, so we will catch you guys on the next Tactical Perspective, and you be well and treat each other well. Take care.